Hi everyone, I'm Mark Ames. Welcome to Five on the Frontline, produced by AIHA. This week we're discussing a dilemma that hits home for a lot of people: young worker health and safety during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our guest today is Jennifer Maclachlan. Jen is a co-owner of her family's real-time gas detection business, PID Analyzers LLC, where she's responsible for managing relationships with distributors and key clients. In 2020, Jen became chair of AIHA's Teen Workplace Health and Safety Committee. Jen just completed service as Real Commodore during the 2020 summer season at her local yacht club, where she was in charge of running daily operations at the grill with a teenage workforce. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thanks, Mark.
Jen, over the summer, you managed several teenagers at work. I can only imagine how difficult that must have been, especially during the pandemic. What challenges did you confront? How did you overcome them? And what lessons do you have for people facing similar problems?
I think the biggest challenge was, I was in charge of doing a job I had never done before. For 3 out of the 7 teenagers who are working for me this summer, it was a job that was new to them. And then the 3 that had worked there last summer, getting them to kind of change habits, So like they're used to kind of cleaning at the end of the day or end of shift versus having to clean every half an hour and record that they did cleaning. They didn't have to record that in years past or anything like that. So that was a big challenge. And then just getting their buy-in, that this is real, this really has to be done. People are really expecting that the bathrooms are cleaned when they go in there and they see that you've signed it. Or in some cases where the kids would actually clean it but not sign it. And then we witnessed adults coming in, club members, checking in kind of a sneaky, snarky way, checking to see if they had cleaned it and kind of, making, they're not, making fun of it. Like they haven't really cleaned it. They've just signed it, or they haven't cleaned it in hours, or that kind of a thing. When I had known that they had cleaned it, or whatever the case was. And so that's when I started to realize that these kids needed more help. This is a huge demand, asking them to do this and also run the kitchen and all the cleaning that is required for just basic, kitchen operations, and to meet the demand of the folks who now are drinking in the bar, who they would have to order food. So the increase in demand of food that they were required to cook so that drinking could be done on site for the patrons. And so that's when I would jump in and say, like, checking the bathrooms myself and saying, all right, I'm just going to clean the bathrooms because these kids are involved doing this other stuff. And so that level of trust for people, we're telling them this is a safe place that they can come with their families and their friends, and making sure that it really was the safe place that we were showing it off to be.
So what about problems with masks? Sometimes I see people walking around sometimes in stores without masks. Did you encounter any of that?
This was a daily situation for the kids where people would come in, members of the club would come in without masks on, and they were told as part of their job they needed to enforce masks. And so they were told they had to hand a mask to someone not wearing a mask. Sometimes it was an adult, which was really awkward for them to tell an adult. 15-year-old saying to an adult, you need to wear a mask inside the building is very, very hard.
Any workplace violence concerns there? I've heard about stories about folks on the news who are concerned about your workforce.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was concerned about the level of activity that was, for some reason this summer, more people were attracted to coming down to the club who weren't club members. It's a private club, so they had to enforce the membership, asking people, folks that looked like they didn't belong, folks that didn't have masks on. We required masks on the property, on the dock. And so just that level of enforcement was a lot for teenagers to have to do. And we called upon other adults and board members and folks like myself to be that first level of, enforcement, but that the kids were also responsible for doing that as well.
Yes, scary situation. In the last few seconds, lessons from your experience that apply to other places.
I think it's really important when you're working with teenagers that you're not constantly correcting them, that you actually take the time to show them if something needs correcting, show them how to do it, and that you'll jump in and pitch in when they need your help. and so that they can count on you as an adult, as a supervisor, as someone who will help them out and help them do the job safely.
Makes sense. Good lessons. Jen, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
And thanks to everyone for joining us. This has been 5 in the Front Line. I'm Mark Ames. We'll see you next week.